So what's happening there with nasal breathing compared to mouth breathing from like an orthofacial perspective or a structural perspective?
Well, you've got the nose was designed with the respiratory system in mind. The mouth was designed with the digestive system in mind. But the mouth is also a point by which we can move a lot of air quickly if needed, or communicate, right? The nose first starts with the fact that you've got two small holes, which actually force that begins the process of a bit of resistance for me to get this reverse vacuum of my diaphragm and intercostals to really work, right?
Yep.
So when I provide a resistance, they engage more, right? And that's really important because this phenomenon called blood stealing occurs when we exercise, when we get to a certain point where we're working harder than our breathing muscles will allow for. So we're unfit, right? Well, blood stealing is where the blood gets diverted from the locomotor muscles to the diaphragm and the intercostals. And that's largely happening when my secondary or accessory breathing muscles come on. So you're talking about the neck, anything from the neck, anything from the pec, right? Anything is attached to the arm, the limbs, and the thorax, right? So the chest. So the importance of that nose begins with those holes. Then what you've got is as much hair inside your nose as you have follicles on your head. So those are designed to gather dirt, bacteria, etc. Each one is coated with a fine layer of mucus, some more than others, especially as you get further back when it becomes cilia. That is the first line of defense for the immune system and what we would call the nose microbiome. So it's pretty important in that is creating your first line of defense for killer B cells, et cetera, all these things that launch attacks, not only now, but even up to 10 years from now on things, pathogens, and viruses that come in that it can remember and your immune system plays an attack on, right? So it's really important for that process to be there. Then what you've got are your turbinates, which are these little hook-like kind of pockets where the air kind of gets sucked in and it circles around, right? And there's like 3 layers of those things, of those turbinates, to where it's like spinning up. So you're circulating the air. So there's really no way for shit to get through before it then enters into the sinus cavities and then pulls down into the lungs. So it's pretty clean.
That whole system's like the size of a billiard ball, from my understanding.
Yeah.
The nasal concha.
Yeah.
Is it called concha or concha? Concha? Nasal concha? Concha?
Yeah, I think it's the concha. That said, it's a huge process, right? That requires air to be cleaned, warmed, humidified, and prepared to enter the lungs, because the lungs have absolutely nothing in them to protect you from any of that shit that's coming in from the air. Now, your mouth, on the other hand, has one line of defense. There are 2 tonsils on each side. And if you had those removed, there's a good chance you were a mouth breather as a kid, because that line of defense got attacked a lot. And so you had to do a lot of fighting from there versus from this first line of defense.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that nose plays a huge role, and that nose works up to moderate levels of exercise. Okay. Beyond that, you should be mouth breathing from what we've seen. There's a crossover. So there is a flip side to under breathing when working too hard.
Interesting.
Yep.
And it makes you look more handsome.
Yeah.
More chiseled.
Yeah.
So that gets into like are you familiar with like mewing, John Mew?
Yep.
The whole myofunctional therapy stuff.
Yeah, I know who he is. There's a lot of other people out there. Yeah. It's basically what you're doing is you're restructuring the jaw and the palate, the tongue. You're working out your mouth, which are exercises I prescribe with many of the clients that I end up working with. That goes in combination with things. And it's in large part due to the fact that people at night. So when they're sleeping, their breathing is pretty dysfunctional, even though they may be mouth taping and breathing through their nose.
Hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. If you did, feel free to tag a part of it. You can tag me at Aaron Alexander on Instagram. Recently changed the handle from Align Podcast to Aaron Alexander. That was a long process of procuring that mofo, but we were able to get it, which is cool, convenient. So you can tag me at Aaron Alexander. You can also tag Sean at Sean Model, I believe is his Instagram handle. And feel free to jump over to the Align Podcast YouTube channel, subscribe over there so you get each week's videos. That is it. That is all. Thank you all. I'll see you next week.